I think the first thing that was suggested that we talk about is API plus. Jesse, you said maybe we should try to break that down a little bit for the layperson, or more
Yeah,
so, little less technical.
yeah. If I can lead this section, I just have a
Good.
couple, two questions I have for Aaron and maybe John. I think it'd be cool to give your 30-second elevator pitch of what an API is.
Well, it stands for Application Programming Interface, and I'll let Aaron do the rest.
It's funny because the blue paper actually has a section about that it's like two paragraphs where it actually like defines what they are. But I think that the 30-second pitch is that when your computer needs to talk to another computer, it does so through what's called an API. It's a way for your computer to both send and receive information from a server somewhere, most likely on the internet. And it's how we both read and write to the blockchain in the EOSIO space. So there are some trust issues on some of those sides, and there's still some unresolvable problems, but in general, that's what they're used for.
Like, we talk to computers by typing into keyboards and pressing buttons, and then that's how our input. But how does my server talk to Aaron's server? What's the kind of language or that they use together? And so essentially, Aaron's server will have an application programming interface, and he basically says, "Hey, this is how you can talk to my server," and then from that I can then design my requests, or how I talk to it accordingly. So Violet Garden has a API, and behind the API is a database of everyone's posts. And so when you load up Violet Garden, the web page, your browser will then do what's called a post request, and that goes to my API. And then from my API, it will send back the data back down to the web browser. But yeah, there's plenty of different APIs and methods of doing it. And again, there's fetching data, doing transactions on things, and even APIs and stuff for the iPhone. Like, if you're an iOS developer, you would use the Apple iOS camera API. And so if you want to take a photo, if you're writing an app that needs to take a photo, they would say this is the API, this is how you're meant to use that camera, or use whatever service that they're providing.
So is it accurate analogy to say that it's a keyboard between computers?
Kind of.
Yeah.
And a screen too. If we're using the keyboard as the input analogy, the computer's also going to have a screen so it can read the information coming back. So in a very roundabout way. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a series of buttons that another computer can press. So if you want to create a post on Violet Garden, press this button. If you want to do take a photo, press that button, kind of thing. And then here's any additional information that the button requires to happen. Yeah.
So the DApp or the app has a computer, and then the blockchain is a computer. So those are the two computers that are interacting through this API. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And the other thing, I just wanted to share the thing that I think I'm most excited about from the API Plus paper. So for me, using the EOS blockchain is great, except for this one thing, which is these when I do, and I think this has to do with this. So I'm going to be asking about this transaction lifestyle thing that
life cycle.
Yeah, life cycle. Yeah.
I like lifestyle though.
Yeah, lifestyle.
That's awesome.
So when I do a transaction and it says success, and I click that link, it says like deferred transaction, and sometimes I have to wait like 30 seconds, and then it comes up. And when I was reading like the transaction lifecycle, like problem and solution, I was thinking, oh, is that going to solve this? And so that's my question.
In some circumstances, yeah, that's exactly what it is. It is it is ways to both on the front end and the back end make sure that what you're trying to do is successful. It is kind of it's a safeguard, because realistically, like it should just work. Like, we shouldn't need this kind of extra stuff. But being in this cutting edge technology, like, things do go wrong. Like, nobody's ever done the things we're doing before. So there are going to be, like, you did something some very specific way and then bug, like something blocked you. So what this proposal offers is a way for the APIs to kind of intelligently retry. It offers a way for the application that you're using to actually wait to confirm that the transaction was successful, rather than just telling you it was, when it really in reality isn't. And it gives you ways that before you actually submit that transaction, it can detect if there's going to be a problem with it. So when we say transaction lifecycle, it is from the moment that you decide you want to do something to the moment that it is complete. There's a bunch of steps in the middle, and this proposal has 4 different things that in theory should really help from point A to point D or whatever is going on. So until we have like a perfect system, we kind of need these rails to make sure that things are going to be successful. And that's what this proposal is.
Yeah. And just for me, it almost always eventually goes through without me having to do the transaction again. Very rarely does it miss completely. But
Yeah.
So
it does. It does miss completely sometimes.
But
yeah, from my understanding, it basically when the node accepts it, it doesn't, it basically looks at it and says, yeah, this should be good, and then it will send you back the transaction hash as if it will be. It doesn't actually wait around, first put it onto blockchain, make sure that it's all accepted by the rest of the nodes, and then say it's good. So it's a little bit optimistic, I think, when it happens, and in most cases it works. So it's fine, but there are cases where it goes to shit, or again you want to wait for a confirmation as well, or irreversibility too, which is irreversibility is something that you're going to wait for things external from the chain. So stuff like if you sell your house kind of thing, like don't hand over the keys to the house until you get irreversibility on the block that the transaction was done, kind of thing.
Cool. And then my last question, if I could ask specifically about Anchor, I think this probably has to do with something in the API plus blue paper. But when I know that I don't have CPU or net and I post a transaction, I'm expecting Anchor to prompt me to pay a transaction fee. And when it does it, it's great. And I'm okay with paying 0.001 EOS for a lot of stuff. And I assume like that's kind of the business model, or one of the business models of Anchor, that you're charging a fee. Maybe there's a little arbitrage of what you're actually paying for that transaction on the back end. But I assume that something in this API plus blue paper will make it so it's just more accurate. Like every time that I don't have it, that I'll get prompted for that fee.
It'll help. I think some of the stuff coming out in the Wallet Plus paper will potentially be more impactful to helping that. The issues over the last couple of days have been kind of a weird alignment of stars that has happened in the past, but it's been a couple months since it's happened, where there have been hiccups, almost 24 hours immediately, like after each other, where our rental system ran out of resources and couldn't recover. So Fuel in the past like 24 to 48 hours, the instances where it hasn't done it is because it knew it couldn't, because the account itself didn't have the resources to do those things. So we're working on resolving that. But one of the things, like the transaction lifecycle that we were just talking about, those improvements will help the accuracy of these systems and the reliability of these systems. And the Wallet Plus the SDKs we're going to be proposing in there are essentially the version 2 of the tools we're using to make that possible. And these tools will be available for more than just Anchor. So if you're using a ledger directly, if you're using Scatter or Token Pocket or MyKey or any of these other EOS wallets, you will still be able to use that same like fee model alongside of it, because it'll be a part of these SDKs now instead of a part of Anchor's SDKs. The only reason they're a part of Anchor's SDKs right now is because the SDKs everybody uses can't support this type of logic. So we're proposing kind of a shift in SDKs, and the justification in that proposal in the paper uses what you're describing as the actual, like, here's the problem we want to solve. We want to make sure everybody can get resources in an easy way and reduce the complexity of using these chains. So I'm really happy that that transaction lifecycle proposal is kind of getting legs, and a lot of people are excited about that. And I really hope that just as many people, when the wallet paper comes out in whenever it is, like the next week or two, will be just as excited about the new SDKs, because it solves some of the same problems.